go right into it. We got the Cheetos, we got the Sun Chips. They're basically the same. Get out of here, cats. These chips aren't for you.
Nothing cast is brought to you by crinkling chips that make the mic speak.
Whoops.
Nothing cast is brought to you by Sun Chips and Doritos. The official snack of Nothing Cast. There's nothing in your mouth, but there's something in ours. No, on that note.
So we want to talk. We're just gonna be eating Cheetos this whole time.
Does is art matter?
Does is art matter?
That's the big question.
And I say, yes. That was a Rick and Morty
yes.
reference.
I think before we start, I think it's important to address the kind of counter argument that.
What's the counter argument?
I don't know. I think the counter argument would be that sometimes I felt like, especially in film school, that like what I was learning to do was pretty scummy. Like a lot of the stuff they're teaching me how to do is like, here's how to make as much money as possible and to be as selfish as possible. And selfish is a term I coined.
Selfish?
It's being selfless for your own selfish gain.
Oh, yeah.
So sucking a lot of dick to like make it up in the film world.
Well, because that's partly, I think that has to do with, well, the film industry specifically.
Right.
Which is kind of trash. I was trying to think of a better way to explain it. Where it's a lot of, everyone's out for their own interests.
Yeah.
And the only like real kind of like support you get is I'll scratch my back, you scratch yours. How does that go?
You said it.
I did it?
Kind of.
I'll
scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
That's it. The funny thing about my back is that it's located on my dick, so.
And so basically, the point I was getting to is that I felt like when I was doing that, I was learning about these things. It's like I could like go out in the world and like make movies, or I could like pragmatically help people as like a paramedic. I just feel like there's like a kind of different like there was this kind of obvious like almost like if you look at it at its base core, it's like what am I doing? Like
Right.
And so I've always wanted to like help people like. That's just kind of, I think it's wired into everyone a little bit to want to help people. And so it's like, what am I doing? Like, how is what I want to do going to help people? Is the question I ask myself when I kind of see the instant results of something like a paramedic versus the like kind of strange nuance of art itself in these debates of should we be investing in art in like our governments are thinking should we be investing in art programs and music programs and things. Or should we be investing in math and practical skills?
What the hell is math good for?
If you're in construction, it's good.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the story of my life in school. I'm gonna dramatize it a little because I have this memory that's I've changed throughout time. But at this moment in grade 3, how old are you in grade 3? Like 8?
Yeah. You're very small.
Where this is like when we're first learning like multiplication and division. And then like once you learn that, like that's basically all of math. You basically know all of that now. So like I remember this moment of like we just got like this worksheet and it's just like there's just like a bunch of multiplication questions on it. And then I like finished it and then I handed it in. I'm like I did it. I learned the math. And I completed the worksheet. And then my teacher went, good job, here's the next worksheet. And it's just like another sheet full of math questions. And I'm like, but like, I learned this already, I know it now. What's the next thing to learn in math?
Yeah.
And the response was basically like this is basically it. Like there's you've learned all the math. Math is now just doing multiplication and division questions in a worksheet. And you're going to continue to do that for the next 11 minus 3. 7? No, 8 years.
8 years.
And none of it stuck. It's like, I'm 2 11 minus 3. We're talking about art.
We're talking about art. Does his art matter? Does his movies matter? Are they just stupid entertainment, or is there something more to that?
There's obviously something more to it, because we wouldn't have them otherwise.
I'll punish my cat. Keep talking.
Yeah. Well, like, here's the thing, right? Is the pandemic... Out of the mic, cat. Pandemic has proved that art matters. You know how crazy and, like, tired and, like, stupid people would be if they didn't have Netflix during this pandemic? Or maybe we'd be more creative. But, like, that's the thing, is like you'd either be watching the Netflix, but if you didn't have that, you'd be, like, writing your own stories.
Or, like, reading a book.
Or reading, exactly, which is just another form of art.
And just another story, another medium for storytelling.
Exactly. So yeah, and I had a thought, but I lost it. Well, yeah, you that's a big point of it's a good point. Well, that's the the thing why I quit this job that I was doing. There's a few reasons. I started working for this YouTube channel where I would edit videos for them.
An unnamed YouTube channel.
I'm just gonna say unnamed YouTube channel. And it was the type of it's what I like to call, like, junk food YouTube, or, like, junk food videos, where it's like it's videos about, like, popular movies, like top 10 things you didn't notice about the Avengers, and it's not, like, harmful in any way, but it's also not really adding anything interesting to the conversation. It's like, did you know that Hawkeye had a purple hat in the comics? It's like, yeah, I knew that already, but...
Did you know that in the comics, Hawkeye is right-handed, but Jeremy Renner, the actor, is actually left-handed? I thought about making him right-handed in the movie, but then Jeremy Renner said, I'm not right-handed, so they decided to change it. What would you have done if you were directing?
Number 9. Like,
did you know that Michael Rosenbaum, the actor who plays Lex Luthor, is left-handed, but in the comic books,
Lex
Luthor is right-handed? What would you have done?
Can we make this a video? The top 10 actors you didn't know were left-handed. In The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess, Link is left-handed like in every other Zelda game, except for in the Wii version where they made him right-handed because it has motion controls and most people are right-handed.
But also in Breath of the Wild, Link is right-handed again.
For reasons.
Does his Breath of the Wild Skyward Sword Link the same? His hands beg to differ.
I don't know any other left-handed people. You're the one who notices this thing. Like, a character will, like, show up in a movie and, like, write their name. And you'll be like, they're left-handed! And I'd be like, what? They are?
But, like, it's funny because that's actually, like, important for, like, it's interesting that they actually, like, cared about stuff like that. Like in Smallville, where, like, there's an episode where someone's impersonating Lex, and he signs something with his right hand and holds a gun in his right hand. But, like, Michael Rosenbaum as Lex always, like, shoots pool with his left hand, holds a gun with his left hand.
That was the giveaway.
Yeah. So it's like...
Did they address it in the episode?
No, they didn't.
So it was just a little thing that you noticed?
It was a little thing that I noticed that they put in the episode.
I wonder if that was a choice by Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, I'm playing this other character, I should do it right-handed.
And most people I know are right-handed because I've had left-hand syndrome my whole life.
Yeah.
You know?
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, if you ever talk to anyone who's left-handed, they'll be like, yeah, like, the world sucks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well,
just like doorknobs and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, even, like, video games. are kind of designed for right-handed people, where like your right hand does more of the buttons, and your left hand just kind of moves it, moves the character. You can you can change the layouts of certain controllers,
and sometimes I feel like you get used to it because it's just one of those things where every controller is the same.
Yes.
Or you move with your left hand and action with your right hand.
Yeah, so maybe there's something about it that feels right when you're doing it. The same way with like a guitar, where your right hand strums if you're right-handed, and then your left hand.
Which is I have lefty guitars.
Yeah, which is just upside down. What's our point of this?
And so, does art matter?
So does art matter? Yeah, because we're talking about fucking if people are left-handed or not, and that's content somehow.
Number 7.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Why I wanted to quit. Well, because there's nothing wrong with that kind of content. But it doesn't, like, it's not really adding anything to the conversation or doing anything that interesting or even like really expressing anything. I just kind of like that. I'm trying to think of a better, not the exact example of, but if it was like facts about the Avengers, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about it necessarily. But there's also nothing like, it's like, yes, these are all things in the Avengers. That's true. Yeah, you know. But you're not like expressing any like
opinions. There's no thesis ideas. To it.
Right. And so that was part of why I wanted to quit this job. Also, I wasn't getting paid enough. But at the same time, it also the other thing was that it didn't give me I didn't have the time that I wanted to be able to pursue more creative types of similar kinds of videos in some aspect, but like things where I have something to say, I care about something, or I have an idea I want to express, and that's, you know, I think more valuable than this is a thing in Avengers. I don't know.
And so where we're going with that is that it matters if something is good or not, because if art matters, then the quality of it inherently has value as well. And so we need more good things. That's why people make video essays, is because they're excited about any video essay I write. I've been writing an Avatar one just because I rewatched the show recently. I'm writing it because I'm so excited about how good it is and how powerful the messages of the show are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, that is meaningful, you know. That is a valuable thing to exist in life, you know. Like that. That can sorry. That can like you know, that can shape somebody's like worldview. You know, if it's strong enough and resonates. It art helps you like understand your emotions and stuff.
Yeah. And just using that like in terms of like I know like a relatable factor where it's like I know how this character feels, or it's like I know that I'll be okay because character is okay. Because character deals, so I can deal.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
See that, you know, reflections of, you know, who you want to be.
Well, yeah, that was a big thing when I watched Onward and cried like a fucking baby. The whole last. Not even like normally I cry in movies more than I cry in real life. Which is probably says something fucked up about me. But,
or something really good about movies.
Yeah. Let's pretend it's that one.
Yeah. Something's really good about movies.
Well, I think, I don't know, there's something powerful about the film medium. I think it's because it's visual.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy to express ideas through it. And because of that, it's easier for me to understand different emotions of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like with Onward when it was like, I relate to this.
Yeah.
Because it's about these two brothers and they're in a van and they love each other and it's so nice. And then sometimes it'll be something that I don't really relate to, but it's told so well that I'm like, oh, they care about each other. Or whatever.
Like Iroh and Zuko.
Oh,
The last time I saw, like, I don't know, I cried the last time I saw Zuko apologize to Iroh.
Yeah, and he just hugs him immediately.
He doesn't say anything. Like, it's just that, and that's just a retelling of The Prodigal Son. Like,
Yeah.
that's just, which is just another great story. But like, when you have that, like, but I don't cry when I read The Prodigal Son. No offense to The Prodigal Son. It's like, it's kind of like the beat. Like, it's up there with like best stories of all time, you know. But it's something about that medium of film though that really hits me hard. And if I watched a movie about The Prodigal Son, which I kind of did when I watched Avatar,
exactly,
it hit me really hard, and it did.
Yeah, no, it's such a good story, and like such a yeah, no, it's great. Just the whole I realize I've screwed up and I'm sorry, but before they even really finish saying they're already embraced. Yeah, it's good stuff.
No.
I don't know. Avatar's a good show.
No. So I guess the question with that would be what's kind of been hitting you lately, like emotionally. What kind of resonating with you as far as art is concerned?
That's a good point. I've been watching a lot of horror movies lately. I said that last time, which is partly because it's October, and partly because I think the world is horrible. What else has been hitting me? What have I watched recently? I don't know. I watched the Trial of the Chicago 7. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, it's like Aaron Sorkin.
It's an Aaron Sorkin movie. It's about... Oh, yeah, I think I talked to you a little bit about it.
Yeah,
it's about...
that pitched it to me.
Yeah, it's really good. It's about this... it's about these... There's different groups of people that were protesting Vietnam. They all gathered in Chicago for this huge protest, and it ended up, like, becoming this, like, crazy, like, riot and stuff. And it's unfortunately extremely relevant in today's world. Even though it takes place in the 60s.
Oh, 60s.
It's like, oh, yep, I've seen that. I've seen this exact thing play out on the news.
Like yesterday.
Yeah, that's extremely upsetting. I don't know how much that hit. I don't know if that counts. Is that what you're going for? Or more like something like Onward? That was probably the biggest thing this year that found me. I didn't cry during it. It was just very good.
I'd say that counts. I'd say that counts because even as a true story, it's still like, it's still a movie. Like,
yeah, and it's a true. Yeah, it's based on a true story, obviously.
It's still art,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another like thing. Have you seen the? You haven't seen The Haunting of Hill House, have you?
No.
There was a new season this year
Called The Haunting
Called-
of something else.
called The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Mm-hmm.
It was also very good,
Mm-hmm.
although not as good as last year. It's like they're doing sort of like an anthology kind of thing where each, I guess that's the idea, is each season would be a new story,
Mm-hmm.
but using some of the same actors, which is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one wasn't as tight as last year, but it still had a lot of great stuff in it, for sure. I'd love to talk more about it at some point, but it's a very simple story about love and death and loss and time and memory and
I mean,
and like all these
I feel that so strongly. Like when I think about important moments in my life and how, like, just even like between but I think about the deaths of our two grandmothers and like how they kind of mirror each other in a weird way and how they're different and how I was changed by both of them and how they remind me of each other and how they both were tied to like a cottage I used to go to and like just like all this weird stuff, but it's like with the inverse cottages though and just like who I was at those points in my life. And I think about and the more I thought about it, the more I thought about time as this eternity loop, because if you think about like heaven and like eternity, it's like as soon as you join.
Heaven. I thought you said Kevin.
No, I said heaven. Like as soon as you
like Kevin 11.
So as soon this is where nothing is going to get nutty and like philosophical.
Yeah.
We're gonna go off the rails.
Go off the rails. Let's do it.
Here, think about life like a timeline, like a line that goes from left to right. But as soon as you join in eternity with God, like that starts on Earth, you know.
Right.
As soon as you kind of are, I guess, like saved, and I'm gonna say that in quotations because I don't really like that term per se, but as soon as you kind of find Jesus,
right,
you enter that, you enter eternity. So the timeline isn't a line going from left to right. It's just a line that touches an infinity because it's looping on top of itself, and that's what your life becomes after that.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well,
so because if you join forever, it doesn't have an end. It doesn't have a beginning or an end.
Mm-hmm.
You have a time in your life where you weren't part of that, but as soon as you're part of that, it doesn't stop. There's no beginning or end to eternity.
Right. Yeah. That's some high concept shit.
Yeah. And so, but because that can exist because that starts on Earth, it's like your memory and the way you think about your life and time. It's like I almost feel like time travel is like real and like happening like in this weird like emotional way built around people that you've lost and things that you've lost and the ways that you've grown.
Yeah, it's sort of a possible explanation to that feeling that the people you love who have died aren't really gone. You know, and that's a big part of what Bly Manor was about. Because there's ghosts, but also like other stuff.
I'm gonna get this cat.
And yeah, and like that's a big idea. I probably sound so stupid in this episode.
I mean, I'm the one who went on the ridiculous tangent.
No, it's I get what you're getting at.
That's why I don't know. I felt so many thoughts kind of swirl like that, and I think that's why I love movies about time travel and about love in particular because, and both of those things is like the winner for me, like about time. But like even like movies like Spider-Man, which is like Spider-Man 2, which hits me every time because it is kind of it's about love and loss, and so the first Spider-Man as well. Yeah. It's because all those things become the way you explained it. It sounded like you thought you were saying this like big long thing that was super like disconnected. To me, that all felt like the same thing: memory, love, loss, and time. is all the same thing.
Yeah, that's what's kind of cool about Bly Manor is even though it's like a little bit all over the place at sometimes,
Yeah.
it isn't.
Because that's just what life feels like.
Yeah, and it's like they tell things out of order and stuff. I might have to rewatch it because there's like some stuff where I'm like, I don't know if I missed something or if they didn't explain something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I missed it, then it's brilliant. Right?
Like the like in the Rise of Skywalker when Finn's like, Rey, I have to tell you something, and then he never tells her that.
Kind of. Like there's this one point that I thought they fucked up because they explain. There's an episode where they explain like what the deal is with one of these characters, and I'm like, okay, wait, but has that been the whole time? Because I'm pretty sure they contradicted that rule. But then I thought about it more, and I'm like, maybe they didn't. And it was just I was just because it's out of order, so I'm remembering the episodes wrong.
So it's like there's.
I'm being extremely vague because I didn't want to spoil it because I think it's worth watching. And checking out. I had some other thought about where this was going. Maybe it's just that like fucking life is. I don't know. It's been a kick in the pants this year. Like,
Yeah. No.
And it's kind of sometimes it's just kind of hard to see what the point of it all is, or where it's even going, or you know what parts of it are good or worth experiencing.
And so I don't know. That's kind of what I think that. Like relationship with Jesus has kind of kept me grounded in all of that because it's like I would be thinking that, but it's like I don't know, I kind of know I find my identity and my purpose in that, and so it's like if you take away everything else, it's like I still have that and I can still strive towards that no matter where I am. You know, that's what makes the gospel so powerful. The fact that like half the Bible is written like from prison, like it's like dear my friends, I am in Roman prison, and Jesus loves you, and I think you're awesome. That's all I have to say right now. Is I am praising Jesus Christ, even though my life is terrible.
Have you seen any of The Good Place?
The Good Place. I've seen the first like 2 episodes. I think it's like it's just the first episode's a double episode, so I think that's all I've seen.
Oh, okay. It's a pretty good show, and it has a lot to say about life and the afterlife and decisions and choices and what makes you a good person is kind of the big question, and it has a lot of really cool and interesting ideas about life and purpose and what the afterlife is and things like that, which I think it just ultimately is trying to say something about life, and part of that is that life is only meaningful because it ends, and I think there's definitely something really true about that. It's like that Gandalf quote, which is I love, which is something like, it is not for you to decide, what, why you were. I forget it, but it ends with, all you have to decide is what to do with the time that you are given, which is something about for this talking about. I wish that none of this had happened because it's hard, and it's like no, that's not. So does everyone. That's how everyone feels, and that's not. But it's not for you to determine, all that stuff. And you just have to do the best with the time you have.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Gandalf, man. That's why art's important. Okay. Did you think about that?
Well, the thing though is that we have these like wisdom figures we can turn to that aren't even real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it kind of becomes that meta, like, art, the power of art kind of becomes that, like, meta Shark Boy and Lava Girl thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, that was one of the things that's really that's kind of stuck with me. One of the horror movies I've watched recently that's stuck with me is New Nightmare, which is the one where the Nightmare on Elm Street, where Freddy becomes real and like haunts the director and becomes like really meta and stuff.
yeah.
But it has some really like interesting things to say about like story and the nature of story, and stories are just dreams, and dreams are just these metaphysical concepts of ideas and stuff. But there's at the core, there's something true about it.
I'm having some nutty dreams lately.
Oh, me too.
I had
So many vivid, like weird shit.
Yeah,
too.
I had one about a month and a half ago that like freaked me out, and I wouldn't consider it a nightmare because it's like it was a good thing, but it was just very intense. It was because I saw like Jesus Christ like walking around as a person.
Oh man.
I think there's something very different between seeing a photograph of someone
Right.
and seeing like them in the flesh moving around, and like I could barely even make out features because it was just he was just gold and shiny.
Did he have the flaming sword and stuff?
No, he didn't have a flaming
okay.
sword. He just had a robe on.
Oh.
And I remember I was in this like, it was in like a house, but like, I looked through the window and there was just trees all around, and he like kind of came over this hilltop, and he was just all gold and everything. And then there's one point where like, I was in like a large boat, and I'm like, this might be the Ark or something like that. And like, just like, it was this like weird like kind of physical plane, so I thought like this must be heaven because this doesn't make sense, but like it's a real like and so that really like shook me, like I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, Jess, I saw God. And like I described it so vividly, it kind of freaked her out, and like and so and like I was thinking about like sorry, I'll finish my thing and then you can go. I was thinking about like camp. I had a conversation with like someone who a friend from the church I'm working at, and we were talking about like summer camps and how they're all basically the same, and how it's kind of a flawed system in a weird way, where the needs of staff members aren't validated because everyone's needs are neglected, and so it justifies the neglect of everyone's needs.
Right.
And because and it's not just one summer camp in particular.
We've always neglected the needs of
exactly right. So because
so
every
why is it a problem?
Why is it a problem? And it's not just that it's one camp; it's every camp is like this.
Right.
And so it's a bigger problem than you even think of, because it's not just that every camp does this; it's that every camp gets away with this. And so
it's a lot of the same arguments of like why.
And so
why like progress is generally a good thing. Where it's like, oh well, when I
exactly.
It's just a lot of like, oh well,
the social gathering, like the safety in numbers, the herd mentality justifies the action.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's just the way we do things.
Yeah,
kind of idea.
Yeah.
It's not. It's instead of looking for
and so
better ways to do things.
Yeah, and so where I was going with this is that I was thinking, and I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of just like complaining about something for the sake of complaining. I'm a problem solver. I want to find solutions. And so that's why I find it frustrating to complain about this, because I can't think of anything like off the top of my head.
And there's not an easy.
There's no easy way out. But that night, obviously because I had that conversation that day, so it planted that. But that night, I had someone in my dream tell me about a potential solution, and it doesn't even feel like I didn't feel like it was my idea.
Right.
Because I didn't have it when I was awake. I didn't have that thought. I just remembered, oh, someone told me this in a dream, so I started writing about it.
Oh, jeez. That's so weird. Yeah.
And because I had that Jesus dream earlier, I'm like, is this coming from
this
God?
a
Like, it's like,
Jesus
oh my
message?
God, are you speaking to me through dreams like you did in the Bible? Like,
Is this
are
that?
you, am I gonna like be walking around down the street and a bush is gonna light on fire and you're gonna like talk to me? Like, is this like what's going on? So like,
Yeah.
I have been praying about that, and like, I'm like, I hope this is like you and not my own stupidity, because it's really
Yeah.
hard to discern that sometimes. It's like, is this coming from God, or is this just coming from my stupid brain?
Right.
My stupid human brain that thinks it's really important.
My stupid monkey brain.
my monkey brain that tells me every day I'm the best person who's ever lived.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Like there's this a Christian friend of mine who I have on Facebook. I think that he thinks like the pandemic and everything that's going on is like a sign that the world is like gonna end.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to me is that like I don't think that's that crazy of an idea.
Yeah.
Because the world seems like pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
And it may very well not be the end of the world. Because there has been crazy shit, before, and there probably will be again in the future. But it's hard to not think that things don't look great right now, And sorry, to go back to your thing about dreams, I've been having a lot of weird dreams too. Not Jesus dreams, but a lot of very vivid dreams. I had this one dream that I watched. So I watched Trial of Chicago 7, and then I think the next day I watched Christine, another horror movie. It's a Stephen King story about a car that comes alive and kills people. And it's pretty fun.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And that night I had this dream that like combined certain elements of Christine and Trial of Chicago 7 into some kind of sequel horror movie. And so that morning I like woke up and started writing the script, and I like had the opening scene and everything, and then after that I was like, I have no idea what happens next or where this story goes at all,
Like, I gotta go back to sleep.
or if it even makes any sense whatsoever. But I don't know. It was fun to write that one scene at least. So
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
it's been strange recently. I don't know. You got any weird scripts you're working?
Weird scripts. I think the one script, it's one that I've been like, and I'm glad that I started writing it. And I come to it every now and then, but I have the main story kind of mapped out, which feels nice. And I should definitely work on it more. But that's beside the point, which is it's this the story was initially like a TV sitcom about like has-been superheroes.
Oh yeah.
But then I kind of morphed it into like a movie just about like a guy who is a has-been superhero. So kind of Incredibles-esque, but like more like I don't know. He's more of an asshole, like,
Right.
like, and it is kind of this like almost parody of like superhero culture in this weird way, where like it's the way I kind of have it mapped out right now is like he's like this kind of like hip and hopping superhero, and then it cuts to like however many years later, like 10, 15 years later or whatever, and he's like working at like a superhero themed like McDonald's essentially, where the toys they give out are like the superheroes of the world.
That's fun. That's a thing in Kingdom Come. Did you ever read that one?
Yeah, I read that one. Yeah,
there's like
the superhero.
the
restaurant.
Planet Krypton restaurant or something.
And all the servers are like dressed like
Yeah.
a little more like kind of like McDonald's, right?
Right,
Where
where it's not really like a themed restaurant. It's just like a restaurant.
It's just a chain restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like oh, would you like a hero combo and like just like stuff like that, like a double hero burger and like just like I don't know, just like the greasiest kind of food. And so the story is really about It's about this guy reconnecting with his his ex-wife and like his child. I don't know if it's a daughter or a son. It works either way, but basically, the ex-wife is kind of, she doesn't like this guy, but like she's kept in contact with him because she's like, one day my kid's gonna like maybe develop superpowers, and I want there to be someone to like help him through that.
Right.
And so, the kind of, I guess, moral or message that this character kind of learns through continuing to be selfish throughout the whole story is like, that like, they kind of like come to this conclusion that like, oh, like, my dad wasn't around and I grew up to be like a selfish asshole, so I need to be around so that I don't exist again. It's kind of the main arc of that. And so that's kind of the main story I've been working through and trying to figure out like how to get certain pieces of it working and just make sense logically, but I think that at its core it kind of is a story, and so I'm happy with that. After playing around with a basic concept of literally just the one sentence sitcom about superheroes that has been and jokes, question mark, not knowing what to do with that.
No, that's I mean, that's, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, and so it's been like, I don't know, I had that idea like middle of like film school, and it's like, it's been like, I bet 2-3 years now I've been sitting on this, so.
Yeah, no, I want to get more back into writing again. That's hopefully my plan.
And even if it never becomes a movie, at least you have that solid script. Like you can read that like it's a book. You have that medium.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about recently as well. Is as you may have noticed if you're listening to this, we don't have very many views.
No.
But that's kind of not really the point. It's we like doing this because it's fun for us to do.
Yeah.
If we made some money off of it, that might be a nice bonus, but we're not obviously doing it to make money.
No.
And I think there's something cool about that kind of art, which is a different kind of meaningful than the like art that like you consume. Is like creating stuff. Not because you like can make money off of it, but because it's fun to do that.
That's almost like the purest form in a weird way, where like
and it doesn't have to be good either, which is the other thing.
Yeah,
is that's something I sometimes get frustrated about. I think with writing is something I'm like, oh, but it has to be good, so then I like don't want to do it. But it's like, no, but you could just write something just to write it, just because it's kind of fun to like come up with a story and see where it goes, even if it isn't a very good story.
Yeah. There's good versus entertainment value. Like sometimes I want to abandon trying to write something good and just do something that's goofy that I know will be funny. Yeah.
Like I have this great. I just remembered it. It was written in one of my notes somewhere, but I have this pitch called Shark Tannic. It's one of my favorite ideas, but it's not like fleshed out. Where it's about like this couple, they're on a cruise, and the husband's like really nervous because he's like a germaphobe, and he's like, cruises always have pandemics and like they're the worst ones, and all this stuff, and like everything's in this closed system, and if one person gets sick, the whole cruise will get sick and stuff like that, and so he's like freaking out about that, and then the cruise hits an iceberg and it starts to sink. And they're in shark-infested waters. So all these sharks. So like as the levels of the cruise ship start filling up with water, there's now sharks like swimming around the cruise ship. And so it becomes this like survival horror movie about these sharks that are in this cruise ship, and they have to try to survive, and that's the movie. And it's just like, I thought it would be fun to have like this guy who's worried about this one like type of specific thing, and then he gets thrown in this completely other absurd situation that's way more dangerous.
Well, you have
way more immediately dangerous.
You have this red herring and all this foreshadowing, and then none of it pays off.
Yeah.
It's just something completely different you would never expect.
Yeah.
And life just kind of feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, so. I think
There was something kind of funny about that.
Yeah, like there's you've seen Tremors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched
Not
it
for
again.
years.
Yeah, we
Like
watched
10
it again
years.
somewhat recently.
Yeah.
But there's this one character that's like so good, because he's this like doomsday prepper, and he has this bunker that's like that's like lead lined, and like it's full of guns, and he's like and it's like stocked full of food and stuff, and it's like in the basement of his house and stuff, and he's like prepared for whatever like apocalypse happens, and then these tremor worm monsters break through the walls of his bunker, and he starts like shooting them and shit, and he has this, and they like manage to escape or whatever, but he has this great line where he's like, I spent like so much money prepping for the doomsday, whatever. I thought I was prepared for whatever it was, and like that bunker was stocked for like years. You could just live there for years and be fine, but these goddamn underground monsters, just like an idea so absurd that I never considered it, and everyone thought I was crazy for like prepping this doomsday bunker, and yet I wasn't crazy enough. You know, it's like such a fun idea.
Yeah.
And I think there's something really fun about that of,
Mm-hmm.
oh, even if you're worried about this one thing, there could be this completely other, unrelated thing that's just as bad or worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's Darktanic
Yeah.
in theaters next summer.
Oh, it's been delayed because of COVID.
Aw.
Summer after, summer 2022.
Yeah, 2022.
Sharktanic. Yeah. No, but I don't know. I think that's part of why I think we like stories, is because we can't. I don't know if we can relate to shark infested waters, but everyone's got an iceberg in their life they don't see coming, and so you want to see someone overcome the struggles in their life, so that you feel like you can overcome your struggles.
Yeah.
And have more kind of positive narratives, I guess. Because most movies are positive, you know.
Yeah, even all these horror movies I've been watching,
Yeah.
like 99% of the time, they kill the bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like, and I don't know. That's just something that's kind of like irked me for like years. Is in like when you learn about like story in any, like, whether it's your English class or like script writing class.
Right.
They always said, the teacher, didn't matter what teacher I had, because they all had the same curriculum. The curriculum always said that at the end of the story, the character either achieves the goal or they don't. And the teacher always says that. What kind of fucking story are you telling where the character doesn't achieve the goal? No one watches movies like that. They don't exist.
I think they do, but they're much more rare.
Yeah, like a Requiem for a Dream, where it's just
where it's just like drugs
depressing
are bad.
and kind of cautionary tale, but that's kind of a different,
cautionary tales.
that's kind of a different thing altogether, you know. But I think that any kind of most like a story, like a
The Godfather, for example.
yeah.
That's one where the character, the main guy, he has like a distinct arc, but it's
kind of sad or
sad because you know he ends up becoming the thing that he didn't want to become.
and the thing that his dad didn't want him to become.
And then what's another good? I thought I had another good example, but maybe I don't. Like there's you have to have like a crucial moment like towards the end where the character can decide to change, and maybe they don't. Well, okay, here's a reverse of that is something like Captain America, where his arc is that he doesn't have an arc,
Yeah.
but he always has a moment where he could decide to
do
change,
the wrong thing,
to do the wrong thing, to give up, or to you know, to not hold his ground, and he always decides to not change, and that's why that story works, ironically.
Yeah,
You know?
like and I feel like it's I don't know, They kind of do that so well with that character where, I don't know, in the Captain America trilogy, you call it that, feels disjointed by so many years and events within that.
Yes.
I think the thing that joins them all is that they always have that same crisis in the climax where...
Yeah, it goes all the way through from him and Bucky to him and Bucky at the end.
Exactly, right? Where in the first movie, it's the greater good or myself.
Yeah.
And he picks the greater good. And he always does that.
Yeah.
In the second movie, he's getting his, he's like, Bucky, almost murders him, but he holds on to hope that his friend is somewhere in there, even though everyone is telling him not to.
Yeah. And he's willing to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always willing to die for his his choice to try to help humanity.
Yeah. And so even though in Civil War he doesn't kill Iron Man, which is pretty big, and then he leaves the shield behind, he says screw it, I don't have to wear this to be who I want to be.
Yeah, and if this that's actually a really powerful symbol, not overthinking it. He
abandons America.
He abandons
the ideals of
America.
Because doing the right thing no longer lines up with that.
Yeah.
Which I think is, I don't know. I'd say it's a little bit relevant.
Well, yeah, that was a thing with. Well, I think Winter Soldier feels so strong.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite reviews of Winter Soldier from Mike Peterson when he was on Pretty Much It was I get it. Captain America is the most American person because he hates the government. And that's kind of true to an extent. But yeah, obviously, it's all about the weird gray areas of government and security and surveillance and I think it does work ultimately because they have to destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. in order to destroy Hydra. They have to burn it all, basically. They have to do the things that Kylo Ren is always on about.
Closing thoughts on does this art matter? That's been the theme of this episode.
Right. What are my closing thoughts on this broad, wacky topic of discussion of love and life and death?
And memory and time travel.
Time travel and heaven and...
I don't know. I think there should be more movies about all those things.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, just memory time portals that we go through every day.
Oh, yeah, that's something... Yeah, I think you might like Bly Manor a lot, because that's something they sort of establish is the ghosts kind of can will slip back into a memory, and it's they're reliving it, and it's they're there again. It's the people that have died are still alive through your memories and those kind of ideas. It's really cool.
Yeah. That just reminded me of this wacky concept I had, and I tried to explain this to you once, and you're like, "Nah, it's dumb."
I was what?
I know. I think you're just not dumb. So if you take a look at think about my life.
Yeah.
I'm 21. And so
Which is 12 backwards.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm 21, and so I think about, what if all time is happening all at once? What if every human is one age because of how we perceive time? So because of how I'm perceiving time right now, I'm in the same spot that you were 2 years ago.
Right.
But we're both in the same spot at some point in the time stream. What if everyone was born at the same time, but we're all perceiving it differently? This is sounding nutty, but everyone's perceiving time at the same pace, right?
Right.
And so,
1
but
year per year.
we're all meeting each other at different points in it though.
Right.
So every human existence happens and then stops, all in one big sheet. I once thought about this in terms of like just like when you go to sleep. It's like you can, let's say we have a night where I go to sleep and you stay up all night.
Okay, yeah.
Where does that time go? I'm asleep.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it. It's hazy.
Yeah, it's been a second.
It doesn't feel like 8
It's
hours.
been 2 seconds for you,
For
but
you,
I've been
it feels
awake
like
for
an
8
entire
hours.
day.
Yeah.
So do you have more time then, right? So in that in the stream of our consciousness, they become out of sync because I'm now awake and I'm now in the next day and you are in the night still.
Oh yeah, when I was first living in college, that like concept like kind of freaked me out a lot.
Yeah.
And so I would like not sleep very well because I'm like every hour I'm sleeping is an hour that's gone that I could be doing something if I was awake, and I wouldn't do anything very productive. I would just like watch more Westworld or whatever. But
everyone's on their own track though, right?
Yeah.
But we're all meeting each other at different points in it, but we're all on the same track.
Yeah, no, it's a very weird concept to think about. It's super. It's something you like really like go into if you like at camp. We would usually stay up the entire night, the Friday night, because we had a video that we had to edit for the following morning. It would just take all night to do, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so.
No, that was me and Dan did that.
Yeah. And so like, that's always so weird, because, you have this like weird thing where you're used to like each day like having an end and you sleep and then like you wake up and the next day starts, but instead of that you're just awake, and then instead of sleeping and breaking up the days you're just still awake, and then there's another full day that you're usually awake for, or at least part of it for. And it's just and everyone else is like, oh wow, I'm well rested and like I'm ready for the day, and you're like, I've been awake for 25 hours now.
Yeah. It's
this is breakfast number 2 for me.
I'd never done that before in my life.
Yeah.
And about 31 hours in was my breaking point, I think, when I started to you like hallucinate, like you literally hallucinate because you should be asleep.
Yeah. I don't think I have.
I have. I saw
but
what I would see some edit nights, because you're so perpetually exhausted, like it's not like I've stayed up this many hours and now I'm like hallucinating. It's like I'm tired all the time because I sleep 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours a night, every night, for 2 months.
Yeah.
So by the time you're pulling in like an all-nighter within that stretch, I would be looking at the computer and I would see out of my peripheral someone sitting in a chair, and I look over and that chair is empty. Just the figure of a human.
Yeah. I don't think I ever got to that point. I would obviously get very loopy and tired as well. But you're wired differently than me. I've always stayed up late, pretty much.
Yeah, and just as similar as well. So
Does she stay up late? Or she sleeps early like you, right? Or
no,
am I wrong?
So she can, but she has to like go out of her way to do it. Like she's wired to be awake at night. Yeah,
that's just how I am, and I've like literally always been like that. Last night I stayed up till 5:30 because.
Were you thinking about time and how we're all perceiving time at different?
No, I was fucking editing, and my computer is so trash that every time I would make a single edit, the timeline would just like freeze for like a half hour, and I just have to wait for it to work again so I can see if the edit I made was a good one or not.
That sucks.
And I'm like, I want this video to be done, so I'm just gonna finish it, and if it takes me watching 3 Halloween movies and staying until 5:30 in the morning, then that's what it's gonna take.
I mean, no, that's.
And I'm honestly not that tired today. I did sleep in though. Yeah. I didn't get up till like 12 today.
Yeah,
so.
That's the kind of like persistence that I admire in you. That
I
only sometimes have.
But it's like, it's also sucks.
Yeah, it does. It feels like
because it's like so much extra time I've spent on something that it
could have been done faster.
could have been done faster under different circumstances if I don't know, just things that I don't have very much control over were different. And it's also just like time I could probably be spending doing something more productive if I'm gonna be up till 5:30.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So time is weird, and
Is art matter?
does art matter? You let us know if you thought we were just like a couple of drugged out crazies. Well,
No,
we're surprisingly sober.
You should.
So, comment below if you think does art is matter.
Yeah, for the most existential episode of Nothing Cast.
Yeah.
We should call it Something Cast.
Something cast? Nothing cast, something cast?
Question mark.
Question mark?
For our special 63rd episode. What
Yeah.
episode is this?
I don't know. It's over 50. So
You
it
said-
could be 63rd.
Oh.
It's probably not.
Nothing Cast is. How many years have we been doing this? Since I think it was
A
since.
while. Was it my first year in college? Is that when we started?
I
No, we
think-
started in high school.
I think we
didn't
started in high school when you were just finishing high school, and so it was like
Yeah.
I think I was in grade 10 and you were grade 12. So we started around when you were finishing high school, and then
Right.
every time we'd meet up
We would record a
during
bunch.
college, you'd record one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like all time is happening at the same time. Like every experience in my life is just perpetually becoming another memory, regardless of how many experiences I have. And so like years have just passed, and I can just access them like I'm still in them. We're getting too nutty, or should we? I think we should call it a day.
We might have to call it.
Yeah. But I would love to keep having existential conversations.
Existential.
I think it's a great topic for Nothing Cast, because you can just think about this stuff forever.
So we should we do it like every other week? Like 1 week it's like, hey, did you see the new
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man? What'd you think? And then the week after that is like, do you think that time is
Is it linear or non-linear?
non-linear? Are memories just a recording of your brain, or is it you re-experiencing that event for real? Are dreams just memories we haven't seen yet?
Are films perfect memories because they aren't altered by our perception of them?
Yeah, but then what about Mandela Effects? And like we watched something with Grandpa. I watched something with our grandpa the other day, and he's like, I swear there was this other scene in this movie where this thing happened, and then we're like, well, let's look at the like special features and like deleted scenes, see if they have that. And it just like wasn't there.
Yeah.
He's like, I swear there's another cut of this movie that has this extra scene.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he could be right, because like the weirdest thing ever is that the Prime version of the pilot of Smallville doesn't have the scene where Clark imagines himself as a football player. They just cut out that scene entirely for some reason.
The which version? The original
On,
pilot?
if you watch the pilot of Smallville on Prime, on Amazon Prime, it doesn't have the scene where Clark imagines himself as a football player. He's kind of gazing off, and then in the actual pilot,
There's like a scene where
there's a scene where he imagines himself, he gets the touchdown,
and then Alana's like, I love you, Clark.
and then
whatever.
Pete's like, how do I look? And he's like too small for the football gear.
Right.
In the Prime one, he's like staring off, and then Pete's like, how do I look? And it just cuts to that, which is just bizarre.
That's interesting, but that's different still from the unaired pilot of Smallville, which is pretty much the same episode, but it has a different actor for his mom.
Yeah.
Just like someone else.
But yeah, no, that would be a fun thing to alternate. Like, does his time, is life, is art, is memory, and then like, What else? What's the other thing? Oh, movies are cool.
Movies are cool.
We'll just flip-flop between those
Hey,
things.
you guys seen this movie? It's pretty cool.
I don't know. It's funny because it kind of like ties into like movies like I love movies like Arrival and About Time, where like I have those like arrival moments in my life where I'm just like something happens or you meet someone and you feel like it's important but you don't know why.
Right.
You know it's gonna be like I don't know. Like you just
Have we had this conversation before? Deja vu is a glitch in the Matrix. Are we in the Matrix? What is the Matrix?
I don't think we're in the Matrix.
How is there a fourth Matrix if Neo died in the third one?
I don't think we're in the Matrix because if you made a computer program, would you, as soon as like people start like catching on to that, like wouldn't you just like murder those people?
Like it should be over now because people think we're all because that idea exists that maybe we're in a computer program.
A sim doesn't think about if it's in a computer program or not because it's a sim. It's a program.
But what if it was more advanced and it did think about it?
But why would you do that? That's like self-sabotage. Like, you know, I think there's just too many too many details in the world. You know.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he's afraid of what he's created? That's a quote from Spy Kids 2, The Mysterious Island.
He's afraid that he created a director to make Spy Kids 2, The Mysterious Island.
He's afraid of Robert Rodriguez. This guy's putting machete in the Spy Kids franchise. This guy's fucking nuts.
And so, in this long, convoluted episode, I think my conclusion is that art is matter because it helps us to understand these like ridiculous existential things. It puts it into an easy to access format that's just simple and you don't hurt your brain thinking about it and you can sleep at night because you saw something that was cohesive.
You think I'm going to be able to sleep at night tonight? You have vastly underestimated my abilities to
well, if you put on a TV show, you'll just conk
Yeah,
out. That's my
true.
point.
I'll just put on a podcast or something.
Yeah. Right? Like, art's powerful. Like this ridiculous podcast. All three of you listening, I hope you've been touched.
I'm pretty sure I've been touched by you, and I hope that I can touch all of you as well.